The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. In a world that never stops rushing, where you're pushed to react, compare, compete, and keep going faster, what if you chose to begin differently? What if, instead of waking up to noise, you woke up to stillness? What if, instead of being pulled by everything outside you, you moved forward with quiet purpose? And what if, just for a few moments each morning, you remembered that the quality of your life doesn't come from your to-do list, but from the quality of the thoughts you choose to carry? This isn't just a habit. It's a return to clarity, to intention, to inner peace. This is a Stoic morning. Not about cold philosophy or rigid rules, but about learning how to greet the day with strength, softness, and meaning. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed, lost, or like you're just trying to survive your mornings, stay here. This might be the invitation you didn't know you were waiting for. Let's begin. Part 1. Find your morning North Star. Have you ever woken up and felt disconnected from your own life? The alarm goes off. You open your eyes, but there's no excitement. No real reason to get out of bed. Just the weight of another day pressing down on you. Maybe your job is fine. Your schedule is full. You might even smile and go through the motions. But deep down, something feels hollow. And you start to wonder, shouldn't I feel more than this? That vague sense of drift, of living without direction or drive, is more common than we think. Millions of people feel it quietly, moving through their days on autopilot, not really sure why they keep going. But what if I told you that one thing, just one, could change all of that? It's called Ikigai, a simple concept from Japan. It means your reason to get up in the morning. And no, it's not some lofty dream or distant life goal like, I want to be a CEO, or I want to write a book, or travel the world. It's much simpler. It lives in the overlap of 4 questions. What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? What can you be paid for? You don't need all the answers today. You're not searching for a treasure map. You're knocking on a door, the door to yourself. And sometimes, it opens with the simplest things. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. A human being with a responsibility to their own life. A person who doesn't live by impulse, but by intention." Ikigai is the compass for that intention. Without it, it's easy to get pulled into the expectations of others, the pressure to succeed, or the endless comparisons on social media. But with it, when you know why you wake up each morning, even chaos can't shake you. Stoicism doesn't promise an easy life, but it reminds us that ease is not the goal. The goal is meaning, living with depth, making even the smallest acts feel sacred. Imagine waking up not because your alarm demands it, not because you have to, but because something inside of you is calling you, something worth showing up for. Maybe it's the work you care about. Maybe it's someone you love. Or maybe it's the commitment you've made to becoming the person you know you're meant to be. It's not flashy. It's peace. That quiet certainty, I'm on the right path. Ikigai isn't something you must figure out overnight. But every morning you can move a little closer to it. By listening to yourself. By trying new things. By asking one powerful question, what am I living for? You don't need all the answers. You just need one reason not to hit snooze. One reason to open your eyes, take a deep breath, and say, today I live with intention. Here's the most practical lesson. When you begin your day knowing why you exist, the little things won't shake you. You'll be steadier, calmer, more alive. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. Let your morning be the moment you reconnect with what truly matters. Because that's not just how you start a new day. It's how you build an extraordinary life. Part 2. Prepare the night before. Here's something most people overlook. Your morning doesn't start in the morning. It starts the night before. Think about it. The way you close one day sets the tone for how you begin the next. Yet, how often do we let our evenings drift into chaos? Binging one more episode, scrolling endlessly under dim blue light, falling asleep with our phones still in hand, and then wondering why we wake up exhausted, anxious, and unfocused. The Stoics understood something we tend to forget in our hyper-connected world. Preparation is power. Marcus Aurelius believed every action should be guided by purpose. Nothing random. Nothing done simply out of habit. That applies just as much to your evenings as it does to your mornings. Ask yourself, what if you treated your evening like a ritual? Not rigid, not restrictive, but sacred. Imagine this: as the day winds down, you disconnect with intention. You put the phone away. You write down your top 3 priorities for tomorrow. You take a few minutes to reflect, maybe even breathe in silence. No pressure, just presence. Your mind begins to soften. Your body relaxes. You fall asleep not with chaos on your mind, but with clarity. This isn't about perfection. It's about protection. You're guarding your most important resource, your attention, from slipping away into meaningless distractions. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That mental restlessness that keeps you tossing and turning? It's often the result of unfinished thoughts and emotional clutter. But when you take just 10 or 15 minutes to slow down and set your intentions, you give your brain the closure it craves. You create space for rest. And here's where Stoicism meets the science of today. Studies show that when we prepare mentally for tomorrow, anxiety drops and sleep quality improves. When you plan, reflect, and unplug, your subconscious gets a head start. You don't wake up scrambling. You wake up ready. Even something as simple as putting out your clothes, setting your alarm across the room, or reviewing your schedule can dramatically reduce friction in the morning. Why? Because you've made the decision in advance. You've removed one more excuse. The Stoics remind us, control what you can. Let go of what you can't. You can't control how tomorrow will unfold, but you can control how you enter it. You can meet it with readiness, not reactivity. With clarity, not chaos. And here's the real gift. When you build an intentional night routine, you're not just improving your sleep. You're declaring, tomorrow matters to me. You're saying, I care enough about the person I'm becoming to prepare for their arrival. Because that's what mornings are, a meeting point between your present self and your potential. And the more intentional your evenings become, the more powerful that meeting will be. So tonight, instead of falling into bed burned out and distracted, take a few quiet minutes to reset. You're not doing it for the version of you today. You're doing it for the version of you tomorrow, who deserves a head start, not a battle. Prepare the night before. Because when you do, you're not just setting up a better morning. You're setting up a better life. Part 3, guard your first hour. Let me ask you something. What's the very first thing you do after you wake up? Do you reach for your phone? Check your emails? Scroll through social media, maybe glance at the news, and suddenly find yourself pulled into the noise of the world before you've even said good morning to yourself? It might feel harmless, but those first few moments, that fragile space between sleep and action, they shape your entire day more than you think. The Stoics had a wordless understanding of this. They knew the power of the present moment. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and philosopher, constantly reminded himself to stay with what is now, not what was or what might be. In today's world, that principle is more relevant than ever. See, the first hour of your morning is sacred ground. It's a space no one should be allowed to step into unless you invite them. Yet, when you wake up and immediately dive into texts, notifications, and demands from others, you give your peace away before you've even had the chance to claim it. Your thoughts? Hijacked. Your mood? Shaped by someone else's agenda. Your focus? Already scattered. But imagine this instead. You wake up and you don't reach for your phone. You don't turn on the news. You simply sit up, take a deep breath, and greet the stillness. You stretch. You hydrate. You write down a few thoughts. Maybe you reflect. Maybe you don't. The point is, you're with yourself first, before the world gets a say. That's presence. That's power. The Stoics would call this an exercise in discipline, not harsh or punishing, but loving and firm. A boundary you set to protect your energy, your mind, your day. Because here's the truth. If you don't decide how your morning begins, the world will decide for you. And the world? It doesn't always have your best interests at heart, but you do. So, how do you reclaim your first hour? Start by carving out just 15 to 30 minutes where your mind belongs to you, not your inbox, not your feed, not anyone else's expectations. Read a few pages of something that nourishes your mind. Sit in silence. Meditate. Stretch. Breathe. Journal. Walk in the sun. Drink coffee while looking out a window. Do whatever brings you back to yourself. This isn't about productivity. It's about presence. It's about reminding yourself first thing in the morning that you are the foundation of your day, not your tasks, not your to-do list. When you give yourself that grounded start, everything else flows differently. You respond instead of react. You speak more calmly. You make clearer decisions. You feel more alive. And isn't that what mornings should be about? The Stoics taught us to focus on what we can control, and that begins with how we greet the day. You may not control everything that comes your way, but you can control your first hour. So give it to yourself, fully, intentionally, and without apology. Because the way you start your morning isn't just about getting out of bed. It's about stepping into the world as the person you've chosen to be. Part 4. Wake up with consistency. Let's be honest, consistency is not exciting. It doesn't have the flash of sudden inspiration or the thrill of a breakthrough. But in the quiet rhythm of doing something again and again, something powerful starts to take shape. And one of the most underrated yet transformative habits you can build? Waking up at the same time every day. Not because someone told you to, not because it's trendy, but because you decided to show up for your life, on your own terms, with intention. The Stoics knew this. Strength of character is not built in grand moments. It's forged in small, repeated actions. Marcus Aurelius didn't write about chasing motivation. He wrote about duty, the quiet honor of rising each morning to meet the day regardless of how you feel. And that's the point. You won't always feel like it. Some mornings your bed will feel softer than ever. Your mind will bargain with you, just 10 more minutes. You'll be tempted to hit snooze and tell yourself it doesn't matter. But it does. Because every time you get up when you said you would, you reinforce trust with yourself. You prove that your word to you is worth keeping. And that kind of self-respect, it ripples out into everything else. This isn't about waking up early for the sake of productivity. It's about showing up, with consistency, for the life you want to live. It's about starting your day with ownership, not excuses. There's a Stoic concept called eudaimonia, often translated as human flourishing. It's not something you achieve in a single act. It's cultivated daily, through virtue, through discipline, through choosing what aligns with your values even when it's uncomfortable. That's what waking up consistently is, a choice. A small, daily reminder that you're not here to drift, you're here to direct. And yes, it will be hard at first. Your body will resist. Your habits will push back. But that resistance, that's the training ground. That's where resilience is built. Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." So dare. Set your alarm for a time that aligns with who you want to be, not who you've been. Prepare for it. Respect it. And when it rings, rise, not because it's easy, but because it's meaningful. And if you fall short, if you miss a day, don't spiral. Don't shame yourself. The Stoics were not perfectionists. They were realists. They believed in returning to the path as many times as it takes. So start again, and again, and again. Because eventually it won't just be a habit. It will be who you are. Part 5. Be gentle with yourself. Let's be real. No matter how inspired we feel the night before, no matter how many alarms we set or how perfectly we plan our morning routine, some days just don't go as expected. You'll oversleep. You'll scroll too long. You'll skip the journaling. You'll lose your calm before breakfast. And when that happens, it's easy to fall into a trap, shame. But here's what the Stoics would remind you. You are not your mistakes. Marcus Aurelius, a literal emperor, wrote in his personal reflections not as someone who had it all figured out, but as someone constantly reminding himself to come back to what matters, to reset, to begin again. He didn't demand perfection. He practiced persistence. That's the mindset we need, especially when we fall short. Because the truth is, building new habits is messy. You're reprogramming years of behavior. You're learning to listen to a deeper voice inside you instead of reacting to every little impulse. That's not a straight road. That's a winding path, and sometimes you'll stumble. But what matters most is what you do after the stumble. Do you beat yourself up? Do you call it quits? Or do you take a breath, learn from it, and quietly recommit? The Stoics teach us that discipline is vital, but so is compassion. And that includes compassion for ourselves. Because self-criticism might feel productive in the moment, but all it does is wear you down. It turns growth into punishment, and that's never sustainable. Instead, imagine treating yourself like a trusted student. You wouldn't yell at them for messing up. You'd guide them, encourage them, help them try again, a little wiser this time. That's how you should treat you. Seneca once said, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom is earned, slowly, painfully, patiently. And the process of earning it includes failure. So when your morning doesn't go the way you hoped, take the lesson, not the guilt. Maybe you hit snooze 3 times. That's okay. What happened? Did you go to bed too late? Was your routine too ambitious? What can you adjust? This is growth. Not glamorous, but real. And here's something powerful. Every time you forgive yourself and try again, you're actually strengthening the habit. Because you're proving that this isn't just a phase. This is who you're becoming, one morning at a time. So be gentle with yourself. But don't confuse that with being soft. This gentleness takes courage. It means facing your flaws with honesty, without turning away. It means showing up again tomorrow a little more grounded, a little more self-aware. And when you think about it, isn't that what Stoicism is all about? Not being flawless, but being faithful to the path, to the process, and most importantly, to yourself. Part 6. Practice discipline in the small things. We often think of discipline as this big, dramatic act. Running marathons, building companies, changing our lives overnight. But real discipline? The kind that actually transforms us? It lives in the small, almost invisible decisions we make every single day. Like getting out of bed when the alarm rings. Like making your bed, even if no one will see it. Like putting your phone away during breakfast to sit with your own thoughts. These things may seem trivial, but they're not. They're a declaration. A quiet, consistent message to yourself. I show up. I care. I lead my life, not the other way around. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus taught that our character is formed through habit. That virtue, the highest good, isn't a grand destination but a daily practice. When you train yourself to do the small things with care, you're training for the big things without even knowing it. Because the same muscle you use to stand up and fold your blanket is the one you'll use to face fear, to stay calm in conflict, to speak truth when it's hard. Think of these micro moments: brushing your teeth mindfully, tidying your workspace, setting intentions for the day, as mental push-ups. They may seem ordinary, but they build extraordinary inner strength. And here's something powerful: small wins create momentum. When you start your morning with 3 or 4 tiny disciplined acts, drinking water, stretching, breathing, cleaning your space, you start to feel different. You carry that energy with you. You feel ready. You feel capable. You feel more like you. This is what the Stoics mean when they say, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. You don't need the world to be perfect for you to act with purpose. You just need to take one small step in alignment with who you want to be. And then another. And another. This kind of discipline doesn't ask you to hustle yourself into burnout. It asks you to pay attention, to live deliberately, to value yourself enough to bring care and order to your world, even in the tiniest details. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before you rush into the day, pause. Make your bed. Stand up tall. Take a breath. These moments, these small acts, are how we reclaim our time, our clarity, and our sense of self. Because a well-lived life isn't built on flashes of greatness. It is built, slowly, quietly, in the little things we choose to do well. Part 7. Find an accountability partner. Here's something people don't talk about enough when it comes to building better habits. You don't have to do it alone. In fact, you probably shouldn't. When you're trying to change, whether it's waking up earlier, creating a mindful morning, or simply living more intentionally, your biggest challenge isn't just the habit itself. It's the silence, the isolation, the quiet voice in your head that says, no one will notice if I skip today. That's where an accountability partner comes in, not to babysit you but to walk beside you. Imagine waking up and knowing someone else is also up, doing the same work. practicing the same intention, fighting through the same resistance. That shared commitment, even if unspoken, can give you the extra edge to keep going. The Stoics, for all their focus on self-mastery, never believed we were meant to go it alone. Marcus Aurelius wrote about the interconnectedness of all people, that we are each like bees in a hive, designed to contribute to something greater than ourselves. Seneca spoke of friendship as one of the highest virtues, not just because friends bring joy, but because they reflect us back to ourselves. They challenge us, support us, keep us honest. That's what an accountability partner does. They don't let you stay stuck in your own excuses. They remind you who you're trying to become. They reflect your growth when you can't see it. And when you fall, because we all do, they help you up without judgment. And it's not just about them supporting you. It's mutual. You hold each other up. You remind each other, we're in this together. In a world that often glorifies doing it all alone, there's something incredibly strong and stoic about choosing partnership. Not dependency, but solidarity. So how do you find the right person? Look for someone who's also seeking growth, not perfection but progress. Someone you can be honest with. Someone who wants to rise with you, not compete with you. A friend, a sibling, a partner, a coworker, even a virtual stranger who shares your goal. Set a rhythm. Check in weekly. Text each morning. Share your struggles. Celebrate small wins. Laugh at the hard days. And most importantly, keep each other going. Because consistency is hard. But consistency together? That's where transformation becomes real. The Stoic path is personal, but it was never meant to be lonely. So find someone to walk it with. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Part 8. Remember death, and let it awaken your life. This might sound heavy for a morning routine, but stay with me, because it could be the most liberating idea you ever embrace. Memento mori, remember you will die. At first glance it feels dark, maybe even uncomfortable. But the Stoics didn't reflect on death to be morbid. They did it to wake up, to remember what really matters. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Not to panic, but to live with urgency, to be present, to stop wasting time on things and people that don't align with your deepest values. Think about it. How differently would you live today if you really understood that tomorrow isn't guaranteed? Would you still argue over small things? Would you still scroll mindlessly through someone else's life while ignoring your own? Would you still postpone the things that matter, waiting for a better time that may never come? Or would you slow down? Speak more kindly? Show up more fully? The Stoics believed that remembering death gives clarity, not fear. It cuts through the noise. It strips away the nonsense. And it brings us face to face with one essential truth. You are alive now. And what you do with this day is your offering. It's your legacy in motion. It's not about living recklessly. It's about living intentionally. About realizing that your time, your energy, your attention, these are precious. And once spent, they don't come back. This is why reflecting on mortality is one of the most powerful tools in Stoic practice, because it flips your priorities upside down and puts them back where they belong. So what does this look like in a morning routine? Can be as simple as asking yourself, if today were my last day, would I be proud of how I'm spending it? What would matter most if I knew I didn't have forever? This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to free you. Because when you remember that life ends, you finally begin to live it. You let go of resentment faster. You speak your truth sooner. You stop waiting to feel ready. And you start cherishing the little things that make life beautiful. A quiet sunrise, a shared laugh, a moment of real connection. And isn't that what we all want deep down? Not more time, but more meaning in the time we already have. The Stoics didn't fear death. They feared a life unlived. So take this idea not as a shadow hanging over your head, but as a light guiding your steps. Let it remind you to wake up fully, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and purposefully. Because the clock is ticking. And that's not bad news. It's your invitation to live. Part 9. Negative visualization. The art of mental preparation. We're often told to think positive, visualize success, picture things going perfectly so we can attract good outcomes. But the Stoics, in their timeless wisdom, took a different approach. They imagined the worst, not to invite fear, but to strengthen the mind. It's called negative visualization, and it's not about being pessimistic. It's about being prepared. It's not to make you anxious, it's to make you grateful. It's not to predict disaster, but so that if it comes, you're not crushed by it. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they all practiced this. They encouraged taking a moment each day to imagine losing something or someone we deeply value, a loved one, a job, an opportunity, even our health or our own life. Sound harsh? Maybe. But in reality, it helps us see more clearly. It helps us appreciate what we so easily take for granted. Because the moment you imagine no longer having something, you begin to see it with fresh eyes. A warm cup of coffee becomes a gift. A clear morning feels like a privilege. A message from someone you love becomes a moment to cherish. And from a practical standpoint, this practice trains your mind to be calm in the storm. You don't panic when things go wrong because you've already walked through it in your mind. You've rehearsed. You're steady. You're ready. Try it now. Imagine, today you might miss the train. You might have a hard conversation. Your plans might fall apart. And instead of hoping those things don't happen, try imagining that they could, and then visualize how you would respond. You'd breathe. You'd stay calm. You'd choose your reaction instead of letting it choose you. That's strength. That's stoicism. Negative visualization doesn't make you fear life. It makes you more awake to it. It reminds you that everything you have, even the smallest things, is worth treasuring. Don't wait for loss to learn gratitude. Use your imagination, not to escape reality but to deepen it. Because here's the truth. When you practice imagining loss, you get better at loving what's right in front of you. You start living more fully, each moment, each morning, as if it's not guaranteed. And if you do this every day, even just for a few quiet seconds, you'll start to realize something powerful. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. It just needs to be lived, with awareness, with gratitude, and with the understanding that everything, even the most familiar things, can be gone tomorrow. And that's exactly what makes today priceless. Part 10, Gratitude, Learning to See the Good That's Already Here. After all the things you've practiced, waking up early, meditating, staying disciplined, visualizing, and self-reflecting, there's one final habit that seems simple, but it holds the power to transform everything. Gratitude. Not the surface-level kind. Not just saying thanks out of politeness, but real, felt gratitude, the kind that rises in your chest when you suddenly realize, I'm alive. The Stoics weren't cold or emotionless. They were deeply in love with the simple and pure things in life. They taught that when you know how to appreciate what you already have, you don't need much more to be happy. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." That's why practicing gratitude every day, especially in the morning, can reshape your entire inner world. Start small. Before you even get out of bed, close your eyes and think of 3 things you're grateful for right now. Maybe it's the roof over your head, a healthy body, someone you love who's still nearby, or just the way sunlight filters through the curtains. Writing it down helps too. Keep a small journal by your bed. Each morning, a few simple lines. Today I'm grateful for. And then something amazing happens. Your mind begins to focus on what is, not what's missing. Your eyes start seeing beauty in the ordinary. Your heart softens, not because everything around you has changed, but because your perspective has. Gratitude is the antidote to anger, envy, and burnout. It doesn't slow you down, it grounds you. It helps you feel what's already present instead of constantly chasing what's not. And in a world that's always rushing, always demanding more, the one who pauses to give thanks is the one who's truly living. So let gratitude be how you close your morning practice. A gentle reminder to yourself. No matter what happens today, I started it with a full heart. Because as the Stoics believed, a good life isn't about what you have. It's about how you see and live with what you already do. And in that way, you're not just beginning a new day. You're beginning a new way of being. If you've made it to the end of this journey, Take a moment to truly honor yourself. Not everyone chooses to slow down. Not everyone takes the time to reflect, to build a steady mind in a world that's constantly pulling us in every direction. You didn't just listen to a script. You activated something deeper, a new way of living, with intention, awareness, and gratitude. And this is only the beginning. If you found value in this message, help us share it. Send this video to someone who could use a little peace. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, and let us keep bringing Stoic wisdom into the modern world. Leave a comment below. What part of this journey resonated with you the most? Or simply tell us, how do you start your mornings? This isn't just a community. This is a path we walk together, to grow stronger, to stay true, and to live with meaning. We'll see you in the next episode. And remember, tomorrow morning when your eyes open, begin again. Not just with your body, but with your mind. Stay present, stay grounded, and stay true to your path.